The day I got home early from work, I heard my in-laws laughing in the kitchen. He thinks he's family because he mows the lawn. Pathetic. My wife whispered, let him think that. He's easier to manage when he feels useful. I sat in my car until midnight, replaying every word. The next morning, I took the keys to something they never thought I'd touch. I wasn't supposed to be home that day. If the weather hadn't hit triple digits and shut down our site, none of this would have happened. We were pouring concrete all week, and that afternoon the foreman called it early. Too hot, too dangerous. So I left around 1 p.m., thinking maybe I'd surprise my wife. Bring home dinner, maybe pick up flowers. We hadn't gone out in weeks. I figured it would be nice. I hadn't been trying hard enough lately, and I knew it. I remember pulling up in the driveway and seeing her parents' car. That wasn't unusual. They dropped in whenever they felt like it, usually uninvited. Her mom had a key we gave her during the early years when we still thought it was helpful. When my wife still told me they were just trying to be close, and I believed her. I grabbed my lunchbox and keys, thinking I'd just walk in and say hey, maybe see if anyone was hungry. But I stopped right at the front door because I heard voices. I couldn't make out everything at first. Just laughter. Her dad's loud voice. Her mom's high-pitched giggle. Then I heard the actual words. Clear. He thinks he's part of the family because he mows the damn lawn. Pathetic. Then more laughter. Her mom snorted. That sound stuck with me. It sounded like someone spitting on a grave. I froze. I kept listening because I didn't know what else to do. I stood there like an idiot with my keys in my hand. Then I heard her voice, my wife, lower than the others. She wasn't laughing, just speaking real quiet. Let him think that. He's easier to manage when he feels useful. That hit harder than anything. I don't even know how long I stood there. I walked backwards down the steps and went back to my truck. I sat in the front seat with the windows rolled up. My shirt was soaked with sweat, but I didn't feel hot. I couldn't feel anything. I just stared at the garage door and heard those words again and again. I mow that lawn every Sunday, rain or shine. I do the plumbing, the electrical, the heavy lifting. I fixed the dishwasher with my own hands when we couldn't afford a new one. I thought doing all that made me a good husband. I thought it was love, but I was just being managed. I didn't go inside until almost midnight. I sat in that truck for hours, not moving, not calling anyone. I just kept seeing the inside of our kitchen in my head. Her leaning against the counter, her mom perched on a stool, her dad helping himself to my beer. All of them laughing at me like I was some dumb kid. When I finally walked in, the house was dark. She was in bed already. I didn't ask if she was asleep. I didn't say anything. I laid down next to her, and I stared at the ceiling all night. I barely blinked. I felt stupid for not seeing it earlier. Her parents never really liked me. I knew that. But I told myself that families are like that sometimes. Tight-knit, judgmental, hard to impress. Her dad always looked down on my job. He was some mid-level manager for a bank, and he talked like he'd invented money. Called me labor to my face once, like it was a slur. I let it slide. I'd always figured her mom was just cold. She smiled at me the same way you'd smile at a waiter. Polite, distant. I never once saw her hug my wife. But my wife, she was different. Or I thought she was. She laughed at my jokes. She brought me water when I worked in the yard. She used to kiss my forehead when I fell asleep on the couch. I believed those small things meant something. That she saw me. I was wrong. The next morning, I got up before the alarm. I made coffee like usual. Didn't say anything. She came into the kitchen rubbing her eyes. Asked me if I was feeling okay. I said I was fine. Told her I had some errands to run. She smiled and kissed my cheek. I almost flinched. Instead of going to work, I drove to the county courthouse. Parked outside for a while before walking in. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I just knew I needed to start something. Something that was mine. 5 years ago when we bought the house, her parents offered to help with the down payment. Her dad wrote the check. I remember because he made a big deal about it, saying, "Don't waste this." But the weird thing is, the gift was written in my name. Not ours. Just mine. At the time, it was easier. I already had a better credit score and more savings. We agreed I'd hold the title in my name, just for the sake of the loan. I asked her a few times after we got married if she wanted to add her name to the deed. She always said, "What's the point? We're married." And I didn't push it. I walked into the records office that morning and pulled the paperwork. The house was still in my name only. Every mortgage payment had come from my account. She hadn't worked in the last 3 years, said she wanted to go back to school, then changed her mind. Said she wanted to focus on herself. I also visited the bank. We had a joint account, and I didn't want to make a scene, so I opened a new checking account quietly. I went home that night and reviewed every deposit over the last 5 years. Every paycheck, every overtime bonus, every stimulus check. I separated it all out. Half of it had been mine, fully. I moved that into the new account and left the rest. Over the next few days, I started sorting things out. Took my name off bills that were just in her name. Canceled my subscriptions. Moved tools out of the garage and into storage. I changed my mailing address to a friend's place across town. I was careful. She didn't notice. I didn't tell anyone what I'd heard. Not yet. I didn't want apologies. I didn't want explanations. I wanted clarity. I wanted to move in silence the way they'd done behind my back. She still kissed me goodnight like everything was fine. Still texted me little things during the day. Her mom even called me sweetheart when she came by the next weekend. I nodded and made small talk, even brought them lemonade while they sat in my backyard. All three of them thought I was still playing the same role. Still mowing the lawn. Still fixing the toilet. Still trying to prove I belonged. But the truth was, they were all standing on something that belonged to me, and I had the keys. They just didn't know it yet. The cracks started showing about 2 weeks later. She noticed the money first. I came home one night and found her sitting at the kitchen table, staring at her laptop. Her face was tight. No smile. "Did you move money out of our account?" she asked. I just said, "Yeah." She blinked. "Why?" I shrugged. "Because I earned it." She didn't say anything after that. Just closed the laptop slowly and went to the bedroom. She didn't sleep next to me that night. She curled up on the far edge of the bed, back to me. I stared at the ceiling again. The next day, her dad called me. I let it go to voicemail. Then her mom called. Then they started showing up again, more than usual. Just popping in. Her dad started leaving comments on things around the house. Little things. "The grass is getting long. This bathroom light's still flickering. This step's getting soft. Should be fixed." He was testing me. I could see it. Trying to push me back into my role. Like if he reminded me enough, I'd forget what I heard and fall back in line. I didn't fix anything. I stopped mowing the lawn. Stopped refilling the propane tank for the grill he always used. Stopped buying his favorite beer. One night I got home and her parents were already there, sitting in the living room like it was theirs. I walked past them without a word. Her dad followed me into the kitchen. "You got a problem, son?" He only called me son when he was angry. Not fatherly, just superior. I turned around and said, "No problem, just tired." He stared at me for a long time. Then he nodded and walked away. But I knew what was coming. That weekend, I found my toolbox missing. Not all my tools, just the ones I used most. Drill, level, socket set. Gone. Like someone had taken them out to teach me a lesson. I asked her about it. She said maybe I'd left them somewhere. Said she hadn't seen them. Her voice was too even, too calm. Later that night, I found them shoved behind the dryer. I didn't move them. I just stood there looking at them for a while, then turned off the light. A few days after that, I came home and saw the lawn had been mowed. Sloppy job. Crooked lines. I knew it wasn't her. Her dad must have done it. The smell of gas still lingered. He was trying to make a point, like he was taking over. My wife smiled at me when I came inside. "The yard looks nice again, don't you think?" I didn't answer. Instead, I went into the garage and removed the spark plug from the mower. Quietly. Carefully. I started spending more nights at my friend Nick's place. Told her I was working late. She didn't ask questions. I think she was glad. Nick and I had been friends since high school. He was the first person I told the full story to. What I'd heard that day, what I'd been doing since. He didn't say much. Just poured me a drink and listened. "You're playing it smart," he said. "But be ready. She's gonna feel it soon." He was right. A week later, she got served at the door. I wasn't home when it happened. I made sure of that. The divorce papers were clean. No drama, no insults. Just facts. Property listed, income outlined, my lawyer's name at the bottom. She called me crying. First time I'd heard her cry in months. Said she didn't understand. Said we could talk. Said this was out of nowhere. But it wasn't. And she knew that. I didn't return the call. Instead, I sent her a simple text. "You and your family don't get to decide who I am anymore." No reply. That night, I slept better than I had in years. The next day, her parents showed up again. I wasn't there, but Nick told me they came by his place looking for me. I hadn't given them the address. They must have followed me one night. Her dad stood in Nick's driveway and shouted at the front door. Called me a thief. Said I was stealing his daughter's future. His investment, he called it. Nick told him to get off his property. Said if he came back, the cops would be called. But I knew this wasn't over. Not for them. They'd spent years controlling everything, or thinking they did. Now they were scrambling, watching their grip slip. The next time I saw her, she looked tired. Thin. She showed up at my job site, of all places. She was standing by my truck when I came out for lunch. She looked like she hadn't slept. I need to talk to you, she said. I didn't answer. She looked down at the ground. You can't do this to me, she whispered. And for the first time, I felt something shift. Not anger. Not sadness. Just a cold, clear line being drawn. I looked at her and said, I'm not doing anything to you. I'm just done letting you all do it to me. Then I walked away. That night, I started changing all my passwords. The next morning, I checked the house cameras I'd installed months before, the ones they didn't know about. And I saw something that made my stomach twist. Her dad, in the garage, with a key. Going through my things. Touching what wasn't his. I didn't call the police. Not yet. But I made a copy of the footage. And I sent it to my lawyer. If they wanted war, I could be quiet. But I wasn't going to be soft. I wasn't their handyman anymore. And I was just getting started. ChatGPT said, the footage changed everything. Up until then, I'd been playing it slow. Careful. Clean. But seeing her dad in my garage, touching my stuff like it still belonged to him. It cracked something open. I didn't send the video to the police, but I sent it to her. No words. Just the video. She didn't reply for hours. When she finally did, it wasn't what I expected. She sent a photo back. It was a picture of a check. $10,000. Written to her dad. Dated 6 months after we got married. I stared at it for a long time. Then she sent another message. He said it was a loan. I didn't know he'd cashed it. I thought he ripped it up. I'm sorry. I didn't reply. Instead, I went through our old files. I remembered we'd kept a box of papers in the hallway closet, tax stuff, loan stuff, insurance policies. I found the folder. Inside were copies of checks, handwritten notes. One of them was a promissory note, not even legal, just scribbled on printer paper. Her dad's handwriting, promising to repay $10,000 to my wife's name within 12 months. No signature. It was the same money her dad had gifted to help us buy the house. The same money I'd thought was given to me, no strings. He'd taken it back behind my back. She'd given it to him without telling me. So not only was I being laughed at, I'd been lied to from the start. It wasn't just betrayal now. It was theft. I showed the note and the check to my lawyer. He nodded and added it to the file. Said it would help in court if her side tried to claim she'd invested more than me. But then something else happened. Something I never expected. Nick pulled me aside one night. We were sitting on his back porch, drinking beers like usual. He looked nervous. There's something I didn't tell you, he said. I braced for it. Thought maybe he'd seen her with someone. Or worse, that he was involved. But it was neither. You remember 2 years ago, when she started that online course. The whole going back to school thing. Yeah, I said. She wasn't in school. I stared at him. She was working. Remote. For her dad. I didn't say anything. My stomach went cold. I found out by accident. She sent me a doc to look over once. Thought I could help. It was a business thing. Had his company's name all over it. I didn't think it mattered at the time. You didn't tell me. I thought maybe she was embarrassed. I didn't think it was like shady. It was shady. I felt it deep in my gut. She hadn't been finding herself. She was on payroll, probably funneling money, keeping it separate. And she never said a word. I pulled her bank records that night. She hadn't used her own account in months. But before that, there were deposits every 2 weeks from a business account in her dad's name. For over a year. Small amounts. Just enough to fly under radar. My lawyer said if we could prove she'd been hiding income, especially income from her parents, it could impact the settlement. Especially if she claimed she was financially dependent. But there was more. A week later, I got a call from our neighbor across the street. Retired guy, keeps an eye on everything. Knows when you sneeze and what time you leave for work. He said someone had been poking around late at night. Flashlight in the backyard. Tall man. Didn't break in. Just looked around, then left. He thought it might have been her dad again. That's when I remembered something else. When we bought the house, her dad had insisted we put in a lockbox for the spare key. For emergencies, he said. I'd forgotten about it. I checked. It was still there. Rusted but untouched. The key inside was gone. I replaced the whole thing that night. Changed all the locks, too. Bought a motion sensor light. Called a security company. I wasn't scared. I was done being passive. And then, like they could sense I was one step ahead, her mom made her move. She called my mother. We hadn't spoken much, my mom and I. She lives out of state. Quiet woman, never liked conflict. But apparently, her number was still in some family email list. Her mom called and told her I was deteriorating, that I was having episodes, and that she was worried I might do something dangerous. She was laying groundwork, trying to make me look unstable, trying to turn my own mother against me, a woman they'd barely even spoken to. But it didn't work. My mom called me that same night. I told her everything. From the lawn, to the words I heard at the door, to the fake schooling and secret checks. She listened, cried a little, said she was proud of me. Then she said the one thing I didn't expect. I can come help if you want. It had been years since we lived near each other. But suddenly, I had something I hadn't felt in a long time. Family. Not the kind that lies to your face. The kind that shows up. That was the last straw for me. They'd stolen my trust. Tried to steal my house. Now they were trying to steal my name. But they didn't know the whole story. Not yet. It all came to a head 3 weeks later. Court date was set. Temporary orders were in place. I had the house, the bank statements, the check to her dad, the fake job documents. My lawyer said it was shaping up well, but to stay quiet. Let them bury themselves, he said. I didn't have to wait long. 2 days before the hearing, her dad called me. First time he'd ever called directly. No hello. No small talk. He said, we can make this go away. You walk away from the house. She doesn't come after your savings. You keep your truck. It's fair. I was sitting in my truck when he said it. Same truck I'd sat in the day I heard them laughing about me. I asked him, why would I agree to that? He actually laughed. Because we'll ruin you in court. She's already talked to a few people. Got some things written down. If it goes that far, it won't look good for you. He thought I'd fold. But I'd been quiet for months. That wasn't weakness. That was waiting. 2 hours later, my lawyer filed the last of our evidence, including the footage of him breaking into the garage, the documents of the hidden payments, the note about the loan. We didn't send it to their side. Just filed it. Let it sit there. Let them walk into it. Court day. She wore gray. Hair done. No eye contact. Her parents came too. Sat behind her, arms crossed. Her mom shot me a fake smile. Her dad just stared at me like I was a broken tool. They were confident. She had her own lawyer. Not a good one. Just someone her parents probably paid for. Her side argued that she was financially dependent. That I'd isolated her, controlled the house, locked her out of decisions. Said she had no income, no savings. Then my lawyer stood up. Calm voice. No emotion. Just handed over the files. Proof of income. Her dad paying her under the table. Photos of checks. Screenshots of deposits. Emails with headers showing company files. The fake story about school. The missing tools. The garage footage. And the promissory note showing they'd taken back the gift that was supposed to be ours. My lawyer didn't say much. Just let it sit. Her lawyer looked blindsided. They asked for a recess. When we came back, everything was different. She wouldn't look at me. Her mom stared at her lap. Her dad looked like he wanted to explode but couldn't say a word. Judge ruled clean and fast. The house was mine. They'd have to vacate. She had 14 days. No claim to the savings. No spousal support. Her dad was warned. Next time he steps on my property, police get involved. I walked out of that courtroom lighter than I'd felt in years. 2 months later, the lawn grew wild. I left it on purpose. Then, the day after they moved her stuff out, I mowed it for the first time. Neat. Straight. Fresh gas. Clean edges. Just like I used to. But this time, it was for me. I repainted the house. Different color. Ripped out the rose bushes her mom loved. Tore down the porch swing her dad had installed crooked and never fixed. Rebuilt it myself. My mom moved in for a while. Helped around the house. Cooked. We talked more than we had in a decade. I hadn't realized how lonely I'd been. The quiet wasn't sad anymore. It was peace. A year passed. I heard they'd moved in together, my ex and her parents. Small rental across town. Her dad had some kind of falling out at work. Word got around about legal trouble with payments. IRS maybe. Hard to say. She messaged me once. Just one sentence. I didn't know how much you heard. I didn't reply. Some people only care when they lose control. I'm not angry anymore. But I remember. Every time I lock the front door. Every time I mow the grass. Every time I walk through my house and know it's mine. Not because I fought dirty, not because I yelled, but because I stopped letting people decide my worth. Revenge wasn't slashing tires or screaming in court. It was taking back the things they never thought I'd touch. My name, my house, my story, and it's mine now. Every inch of it.